I'm a true believer on learning from failure. Even though I hate it as much as I hate when it happens, I'm like, okay, well, what do we learn from this? How can we get better? And so, yeah, like I think with, whenever I share that, because to people that meet me or are in my life, they're like, really, you just don't seem afraid of anything. And I'm like, I think it's my fear of control. Like to me, I will not allow fear to control me. I won't allow anything to control me. So for me, I categorize that the same. So even though I am afraid, I'm not going to allow it to control my destiny and kind of what I do.
Hi, everyone. This is Joshua Huffman and Alex Garashenko, and welcome to another episode of the Masters in Marketing Agency podcast, where we deconstruct the why and how agency owners found their success, and in season 4, focus on how we can give and receive referrals. Today, I have Shawnda Huffman, the CEO of Tuuti Agency, an award-winning female-owned creative communications agency that specializes in boosting brand awareness, nurturing reputations, and strengthening connections between companies and their audience. Welcome, Shawnda.
Hi there. How you guys
Oh,
doing?
I screwed it up again. That was like the worst
Do
intro.
it. Do
That's
it.
good.
Do it.
No,
We're
let's
not
go.
doing it again. I don't know what it
Yeah.
is. Something today. I can't say
Okay.
the word I can't say the word strengthening, and we did another one earlier that
Strengthening. No, it's
I can't
hey,
say
you
the
know what?
word.
I need to show you my warm-up routine. I was actually doing it in the office. It's like Wibbleton to Woppleton is 16 miles. From Wobbleton to Whippleton is 16 miles. From Wibbleton to Woppleton, from Woppleton to Whippleton, Wibbleton to Woppleton is 16 miles. You'll never stutter step anytime. Like I'll email this to you. So that
Please.
way, anytime, yeah, you get it done and you never flub your words. It's fantastic. It's helped me for 22 years.
This is our second recording in a row, and I've never flubbed so many words. So I don't know what's happening today, but yes, please send that over. I am
But
That was
the
impressive.
agreement is you have to film yourself doing it for the first time so I can get a giggle. Because they're like, wait, what? And it's awkward. So send it over to you. It's funny.
Deal. You send that over. I will. I even as someone who we've been doing this for years now, and so many
Yeah.
episodes that I do want to move into that next stage of
You have
professionalism.
so many. Yeah, you have so many episodes. Yes.
And you being from the radio space, we have a lot to learn from. So and we'll get to that in a second. But I think one of my favorite places to start is by rewinding the clock to your early days, because we often find that who we were as a kid can kind of guide us later in life. And the last time we spoke, you mentioned that you were raised by a single mom, and eventually that kind of, I should say that kind of eventually led to your radio career. So can you kind of talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So I was raised by a single mom. She was a prison guard. She was on the bomb squad. She was a major badass. But with that, my dad passed away when I was 3 years old. And it was just kind of tough. We grew up in a very small farming community in Southern Ohio. And, with her working so much and just trying to make ends meet, you kind of lose that connection with your family and with your mom specifically. And obviously my dad had passed on. So, at a very young age, I started to do things, craving connection. And, again, with my mom working, by the time she would get home, she'd be depleted, didn't really have a lot of extra time. And she was just doing the best that she could do. So, over time, I just realized that I was just seeking out connection with people, not attention. It was just more connection to really, I'm a deep feeler, I'm a deep thinker. And so I started doing, everything and anything just to connect with people, whether it be friends. I would get involved with doing our school announcements. And then I realized through studying journalism in school and as early as even liking it in elementary school, I gradually led to doing, TV and working at the local radio station. So I knew at a very young age what I wanted to do, which was, radio. So I, at 14 years old, I had my first job at the local radio station reading the farmers reports, which was super entertaining. I sounded like a total hillbilly. I was like, you ain't going to go do that. And here's the farmer's report. It was so bad, but it was the language. I was speaking the language of my hometown, so I fit right in. But then when I went to broadcasting school, they're like, what the hell's going on? Who is this person? Is she from, they thought I was English because my accent was so strong. So So yeah, I knew what I wanted to do at a really young age. It was that connection piece that I really craved. And so I ended up, hosting major market morning radio for 22 years, living, all over the country. It's what I went to college for. I went to Brown College in Minneapolis. And so we're some of the biggest broadcasters. They're Hall of Famers. They went to school there. They only accepted, I think, like 35 students a year. And so to have that honor to go to one of the best broadcasting schools in the country was just incredible. They actually denied me the first couple of times I applied, and then I finally got in the spring after I graduated high school. And so I took 22 credit hours a quarter for 2 years. I went all summer because I wanted to get done. I wanted school to be over with so I can get in and start my career. Got my first full-time morning radio position, morning host position when I was 20. And I mean, that just doesn't happen, especially for females being in a very male dominant industry. But I think that, again, that craving for connection and then the desire to, kind of feel loved is kind of a weird thing. But again, just searching for what that looks like. So I guess my trauma turned into my career, into my success, because I ended up having a very long career with radio, 22 years. So retired in 2019.
What do you think is the difference between, you who went through that stuff and we'll call it came out on top versus someone who, let's just say, went through a very similar experience and wanted to be successful and didn't? Like, what would you identify as something that you did or traits or whatever it is that kind of led to your success based on that trauma?
I think my number one trait is relentlessness. And I think some people, like, they're really surprised when I say the scariest part of my day is waking up in the morning. I'm afraid of everything, but I refuse to allow fear to control me. So I think a lot of people, especially probably that had similar upbringings to me, I think fear a lot of the times gets in your way of I can't do it, maybe a little bit of imposter syndrome. I just had this solid ignorance that I was able to do whatever I could possibly do to get where I wanted to be. Ignorance is bliss. And I was just so determined it was just relentlessness through and through. I'm still, like, they call me the jackhammer. That's like kind of like my nickname. I just will not give up. I will go to the ends of the earth to make things happen. I'm a true driver. And I believe in myself, I think that's where it starts, is just believing that you can do it and anything's possible. And I just don't give up. Oh my gosh. If I have my mind set to something, it will happen 1000%.
You're triggering me on all my favorite topics, so I'm going to try to hone in.
Okay. No, I will totally go out left field. So just too. So we might be.
Oh,
back.
I know both of us will. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try. We might go on what I think are good tangents, but I really liked what you said about, like, fear. I think that I only came up with one quote ever, and the quote that I think I came up with is, your fear of regret should be bigger than your fear of failure. And I think that's kind of what you were saying is, you should be worried about not trying it more than you should, like, whatever the end result is. And I think that's kind of what you're highlighting.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cliche to say, 'cause, I mean, you hear that all the time, but it's so true. And it's something to live by. Like, even though I am so afraid, I'm afraid to fail, but I'm also knowing that failure is absolutely necessary to become better and get stronger and learn from it, right? I'm a true believer on learning from failure. Even though I hate it as much as I hate when it happens, I'm like, okay, well, what do we learn from this? How can we get better? And so, yeah, like, I think with, whenever I share that, because to people that meet me or are in my life, they're like, really, you don't seem afraid of anything. And I'm like, I think it's my fear of control. Like, to me, I will not allow fear to control me. I won't allow anything to control me. So for me, I categorize that the same. So even though I am afraid, I'm not going to allow it to control my destiny and kind of what I do. So
yeah, we're going to keep diving. You said imposter syndrome, and I've shared my thoughts on this show about imposter syndrome, but before I do, I kind of just want to hear your thoughts on it.
It's a real thing. I mean, I have, I've led teams for over 20 years, and I see it every day in them. And what's crazy about it too, and it's easier from the outside looking in, because my team members, I mean, I get choked up every time I talk about them because they are so incredible and they're so talented. All of them, 1,000 times smarter than me and better than me and all the things, but they just don't see it sometimes in themselves. So I'm gonna get choked up, but I have to, like, in our one-on-ones, I'm like, what, like, come on, you're incredible. Like, here's all the things and here's why. This is not like a general surface feedback I'm giving you. Like, you're just so talented, and just trying to beat it in their heads. Like, why are you doubting yourself? Why are you doubting your abilities? And but yeah, I see it every day, whether you call it imposter syndrome. And I don't think it's like, for my team specifically that I see, it's not like a consistent thing, it's just one, it's like certain situations, particularly if they're dealing with something new that they've never dealt with before. And being a startup marketing agency, I mean, we're doing anything from learning from heating and cooling and HVAC systems to, Botox, boutiques and whatever else. And so I think anytime, I think what I'm seeing now is just when it's something new that we're doing is when that kind of sets in. And then I don't think it lasts very long with my experience as far as imposter syndrome sneaking up with my team, but it definitely happens.
Right. Note, make her cry. You were so close. Okay.
No, please don't make me cry. I need a nap afterwards. I would rather have my eyeballs out than or have my eyeballs gouged out than show vulnerability.
Yeah, but like for a host to make the guest cry,
oh, I know. I was you for so long. I get
I know.
No, I love my team so much. They work so hard, and just, how much we have done. We'll be celebrating 2 years coming up for Tuuti. And it feels like we've been doing this for 30 years. I mean, we are just grind all the time. And so just to see them, how hard they work and how much love and care they put into every single project, nothing is half done. I mean, it is just their whole heart. So just to see them do that every single day, all day, is just incredible. So I always just get really choked up talking about them. I have the greatest team on earth for sure.
No, I mean, I think that's great to obviously hear, and you can hear that you're genuine too. Like, you're not just saying that because they might be listening to the
There's
episode.
nothing I could never like fake that.
Yeah, you're right.
It would just be awkward and weird.
You
Yeah.
didn't tear up, so
Oh, okay. I'm not crying. I'm not crying on this podcast, dude. It's not happening.
The last thing that I want to touch on with this before I get into some of the questions that I actually prepared is you mentioned that you're like you said you're a deep feeler and a deep thinker. And I just
Yeah.
wanted to kind of double click on that and ask what you mean by that.
Yeah. I mean, so I think I'm more of a thinker than a feeler for sure. As we just talked about, I don't know if you're familiar with like any type of personality test. I'm a thinker all the way. Yeah. I'm an ENTJ.
I'm an
So,
ENTP. You're pretty close.
okay. Yeah, I'm an ENTJ. So basically it looks like I'm just a absolute like no feelings monster on paper.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn over time to just accept and love every part of myself and just know that that's who I am. But when I say I'm a deep thinker, 100% the forefront. But when it comes to feeling, it goes back to those people in my very small circle of people that I care about, and just topics in general, things that I'm passionate about. That's where I feel all the feels, So it's not a lot of the times that I feel, but when I do, it happens. Like I said, I need a nap afterwards. For a couple of days. I need to like call off work the next day and just lay in bed and watch, I don't know, Yellowstone reruns or something.
I just started that.
Me too.
I just started.
Too.
Really good.
So thinking about feeling, so we're gonna go off on a tangent here.
Hit me.
So I originally started watching Yellowstone when it's first aired, and I'm with feeling animals are just like everything, all things to me. And so to see the very first episode, the horse, my husband and I instantly went, nope, not happening. And we just turned it off. That was years ago.
Yeah.
And then now that we know where that horse part happens, I mean, obviously the rest of the episodes were like, oh, great, but that was like kind of what set me off. I couldn't watch it, but then we just fast forwarded through that first episode and it's been okay. Up until where we are. But we just started watching it like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, no, we just started watching it.
I'm literally on episode 3. I've heard the best things about it. So I'm
already on season 3.
You mean like how each episode is an entire movie? It's like an hour and a half.
It's an hour and a half long, and we are just cruising through it. Like, and I don't have a lot of time to watch TV, and I'm up at 3:30 in the morning and I'm in bed by like 9.
Yeah.
But because we've been watching Yellowstone after, when we're laying
Yep,
down,
yep, yep,
we've been staying up until 11. So I'm
yep.
like, just,
You're literally me.
oh,
You're literally me right now.
yeah, like the sleep, it's just not happening for me.
And then real quick on the Myers-Briggs, I'm glad that you shared a little bit of yours because I just want to quickly share what I learned because I actually think it's kind of important. I don't usually try to put I might put my opinion in this, but it's like I don't bullshit yourself. You do.
I'm an
Uh,
Enneagram 8 too, so it kind of aligns.
For me, reading my Myers-Briggs, it taught me why I did some of the things I did. So for me, mine's called the debater. And I knew as a kid that I would just argue with everyone, and I didn't know why. And like I would get really self-conscious about it, but like I couldn't stop. Like that's who I was.
Oh,
And
you
so I
like to,
read my Myers-Briggs, and I realized that the reason I do is because I just want to make sure that like the conversation is having a full like everyone we're getting all sides of the argument. So like even if I don't believe in the argument that I'm making, which is what I would do a lot,
yeah.
I was just doing because four people agreed with each other, and that's not a conversation. That's just four people agreeing with each other. Like you're
You're always
not
like a
getting.
devil's advocate. Like you're always like looking for the other way. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
a devil's advocate usually has a negative connotation, so I usually try to.
I mean, it has the word devil in it. I mean, I don't know how positive that could be,
I
really.
try to turn what I do into a positive.
Oh, gotcha. Good for
Is
you.
what I
Hey,
do now.
self-awareness is key, man.
That's right. The reason I bring that up, and I brought that up before, is really just I think that everyone should read their Myers-Briggs, even if you don't agree, at least you read it,
Yeah.
to have that opinion. So,
Now, have you ever met somebody who absolutely hates the results? My
I
husband's
don't
one
know
of
if
them.
this will get in the episode, but I went on a date with a girl that had the exact opposite Myers-Briggs as me, and it was actually the best date I've ever been on. So, like, yeah, I don't know, it's weird.
You ever met somebody who took the test and like, oh, wait, that's not me. Like they just could not accept it.
She was like that in the beginning, and then we were reading like
Oh,
more parts of it, and she was like, I agree. But no, I don't know if I've ever had someone that was like, this is just not me at all. I'm like, all right,
my
retake
husband
the
is
test.
like that. He's
All
like,
right,
no,
retake the
that's
test.
that's not me. My husband, yeah, no, that's not.
Either either
I'm not
he's
an ENFP.
either he's ignoring reality or he just lied on the test. That's what I think.
No, yeah, no. I mean, I'm like, oh, honey, this is you, and he's like, oh, it's not me.
He's lying to himself then.
Yeah,
Not to call him out. Sorry,
he's a softie though. Like, and I'm like, you softened me up a bit, you know. But
Um,
he hates that.
okay. So I actually read, so back to regularly scheduled programming. Um, Going back to the radio stuff that you were talking about, how did you turn your experience in radio into starting the marketing agency?
So anyone who is familiar knows anyone in the media. I know there's only probably 6% of us in this world, and I think there's only 1% females in the media industry. It's a very small group of people, but I'm sure if you know somebody in the media or have been in the media, you have to do so many things that all result back to marketing. It's all about connection. It's all about entertaining. It's all about content. It's all about creating campaigns. It's about sales. I mean, all the things rolled into one. And so even though, I was in major markets and things like that, as I grew into my 22-year career, budget cuts would happen and things like that. So we had to be very resourceful in finding and learning different things to be able to cover all the angles that we need to, all the channels. So like, of course, when social media was a big thing, I had to become a social media expert. And when, I don't know if you guys ever remember those flip phone or the flip video cameras that you would plug in and it'd directly go up to YouTube, like YouTube Shorts. I mean, I'm probably I'm showing my age here, but anyway, so then I had to become like a professional vlogger, and then content was key, and everybody was having the websites where streaming was huge, and so then now I'm blogging 4 times a week, and so I had to be a writer, and then doing endorsements for clients and having to write commercial copy and producing that, and so then again I'm a copywriter. So all these things that I learned on top of just entertaining and creating campaigns for clients and being in all this brainstorming, I absolutely loved the business side of it. So even though I loved the creating parts, I love the adrenaline rush from the sales parts and closing that deal, and just the organizational, like the flow of a business, I just fell in love with that part too. So even though I was an entertainer, I really dialed in that business side as well. And I just loved it. So I just took it all in. I even asked our general manager, I go, hey, would you mind if I just did like part-time sales? Could I get like a commission structure? So he actually created that for me. And there's a quote in my portfolio from him. He said, give me a stick and give me Shawnda a stick, meaning like, you know, radio tout, and Shawnda Huffman. And that's all I need to exist, because I knew how to do everything. I genuinely wanted to learn how to do all of it and be resourceful and consume all the knowledge, just so I could find myself in this, you know, to be replaceable basically, but also just to know myself. And so learning all those things throughout my 22 years, I also, 6 of those 22 years, I also did a TV segment for NBC, Fox, CBS affiliates nationwide. So I had my own entertainment show there. So I got to learn a lot about TV and media buying and all those things, how that works. And so when I retired from radio in 2019, I'm like, okay, I had been thinking about it forever. I want to start a marketing agency. I'll just kind of bootstrap it, work out of my house. And then I got scared. I'm like, okay, I'm not ready for this. You know, 29, I'm not ready. Well, I just so happened to get a call from a CEO of a supplement company here in Boise. And he was like, hey, I saw your portfolio. I wanted to bring you on as the VP of communications and head up PR. And by the way, you're the only person on the team. And I'm like, okay. He's like, we don't have a PR department. It's basically a blank canvas. Do what you will. So I started the job, and within the first 8 months, I brought my team from 1 to 22. I had a team of 22 within 8 months. We took the company from 5 to 50 million in 2 years, all because of my PR strategy and marketing strategy, all the things. Well, during that time, I had met my now 4 business partners, and we all worked together, and we built some amazing campaigns, you know, products and things like that. And we just had something just super special. And I'm like, okay, whatever happens here, this is what I could see everything so clearly. This is what I want. Like, I was meant to start the agency after this, you know, after this job, and with these 4 people. And then what do you know, the company sold for 200 million in April of 2022. They moved everything to Florida. We got laid off on December 9th of 2022. I had the office space here at Tuuti December 11th.
Wow.
And then of course my 4 business partners, we all jumped in, and I said, hey, the name's Tuuti. Michaela, my creative director, bring it to life, baby. And here we are. So everything that you see in the backgrounds here and our office, she just brought the logo, just brought everything to life, the branding, on top of Mackenzie, who's our content just master. She wrote all of our content, our voice guide, Jesse with social media, and Kaylee with our PR. So it was smooth sailing.
I'm really glad you kind of mentioned how you found your business partners, because that's actually a question that I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
But to get back to some of that stuff we've actually talked about on our discovery call, and maybe I have my note wrong, because we actually just talked about Myers-Briggs, and I had a note about you being introverted. Did you say INTF or ENTF?
I'm an ENTJ.
Or ENJ?
Yeah, I'm an ENTJ. But the question you asked me, I believe, was what would people be most surprised about when they would meet you? I think that's what
Something about that, right?
along
So
those lines.
instead of asking my question, I'll let you kind of run with this. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think so. Yes, I'm technically on paper an extrovert, but I'm actually like almost like 50-50. So I'm an introvert too. Like, depending on who I'm around, sometimes people just deplete me and I need to take like a 5-day rest. But I also, like, I'm okay. Like, people are also surprised because I'm so loud. I'm like the megaphone of the business, but really I have to like pump myself up to do those types of things. I'm not just like naturally waking up going, yeah, let's conquer the world. I have to like go, okay, like just kind of like a transformer, just kind of, you know, work myself into the day. But I'm just not naturally like that. I call it, again, going back to my childhood, is it trauma response? I don't know. I have no idea. But I haven't really dove into that with my therapist. But I think it's people are very surprised in certain settings. Like, I don't have to be the center of attention. I don't have to be the life of the party. I actually like chilling out and just hanging out. I don't, you know, I'm at a karaoke bar. I can sit there and just watch everybody and just have a beer and chill. I don't need to be up on stage or anything like that. So I think just based on people who get to know me, usually when they meet me, they meet this loud person. And then over time, they're like, you okay? And I'm like, yeah, totally good. I'm like, oh, I just know you well enough. I could just chill. You know what I mean? Like we're close enough to where I could chill. And so
No,
I think that's surprising for
I'm
people.
glad you mentioned all that, and I guess I do want to ask the question then that I had prepped, which is how has that, and I'm just going to say that you can say if it's introverted, extroverted, I don't really care because it sounds like you can kind of balance both. How
Yeah.
do you use that to help run your business?
So for me being an extrovert, I find myself in that area most of the time now being a business owner. When I was in the media, I was able to do a 5-hour show at 100% and then spend the rest of my day just in chill mode. And so I had that break. What I have found with owning a business, I am constantly in that mode outside of being at home, and so I'd say I'm there 90% now currently because I have to be at networking events. I do a lot of speaking engagements locally. I'm really involved with charity, and sitting on boards and committees and things like that. So I'm constantly having to be that extroverted side of me for the last almost 2 years. So I don't know. I don't know how much I can, I guess do that long term, but I'm definitely been in that setting for a while.
Have you read your business partner's Myers-Briggs?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all extroverted besides Mackenzie, who's our writer, so that makes sense, but they're all extroverted. Yeah.
The only reason I asked, and we can go to the next question if you want, but I just find it amazing when you read like the other company that I'm with, we have all these personality tests. I forget the disc profile and all those kind of things. And I think they're very helpful. Like
Yeah.
they teach you why the person you're working with is working the way they are, as opposed to just being like,
Yeah.
oh, that idiot over there just doesn't get this. Blah, blah. It's like, no, no, no.
Yeah.
They're actually, this is how they're thinking about it. And you're like, oh, I totally understand. So I don't know
Yeah.
if you have anything to add to that, but
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, a part of our onboarding, and I wish that like we had like a long time to talk today, because I'd be like, let's bring up some spreadsheets and I'll show you, we'll have some fun. Because in our HR drive that we have, actually, maybe I wouldn't bring up our HR drive and share that folder, but I could share you the info sheet for the team, which has their Myers-Briggs, it has their Enneagram. I
is it
do.
Crystal Nose?
What is it?
Use Crystal Nose? That's who we use.
Mm-mm.
It's like it's just a software that does all that. Like you
Oh,
give it on
can you
onboarding.
email that to me? Because I've never heard of it.
Sure, sure.
No, we actually do like the full on test. And so whenever we onboard any employee, that's one of their first things, Enneagram, Myers-Briggs. I know like I'll reference it quite a bit in one-on-ones to give everybody insight if they're having an employee issue, a coworker issue. So I do weekly one-on-ones, and then I do monthly skip levels. And so I try to integrate that communication and just understanding who we're working with into those conversations for sure.
I will definitely send you that. Especially for sales where I came from, it's
Yeah.
very helpful to like
Oh,
it just reads their LinkedIn sometimes and be like, be
yeah.
direct with this person or be something.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
very
you have
helpful.
to be very direct, very clear. If you're like fluffing, I'm like, okay, like there's no fluff, like just get to the point, but
I'll
yeah.
send you your Crystal Nose after this. We'll see
Oh,
if it's
gotcha. Okay.
see
Okay.
what it says. It's very
Okay.
good though. I like
Okay.
it a lot.
Okay.
Now I'd like to learn a little bit more about your marketing firm, Tuuti
Yeah.
Agency, because again, part of our goal with this podcast is to build this referral network among our guests that promotes like collaboration and support and everything. So, few questions kind of on the business, and you mentioned how you already found your business partners, but what does your team look like now between full-time, part-time, contractors, partnerships? Like, what does your team look like?
So there are seven full-time. There's seven full-time. So it's us five partners. And then we have our social media manager, Deja, who is just like, oh my God, I can't even, there are no words. She's incredible. And then we have our art director, Ian. He can do just about anything. And he can like just freestyle like some artwork on a wall, like just give him some paint, he'll go ham on it. And then he just will do a big production video shoots. That's just almost the impossible. Deja, she's kind of jumping into paid ads on top of social media, and she builds out strategies. Like they're just so resourceful and I keep saying resourceful because it's so important with startups. Because you have to, obviously we have to stay within a budget and just kind of learning and educating yourself. And both of our two full-time employees outside of the partners, they just do such an incredible job. I'm so proud of their growth. They started with us in December of last year, early December. And then we have, we actually just ended our internship program. So we do a summer internship program, and it is, I mean, it is dialed in. It is incredible. Kaylee, who's our director of PR, she basically from scratch built this PR structure and syllabus. And so we had 5 interns, one for each department. And they just ended their internship. Let's see, it was the beginning of August. And we ended up hiring one of our interns, our PR intern actually hired her part-time. So she started with us last week, and she's killing it, but she's part-time. I mean, we don't have enough work for her to be full-time right now, you know, or the budget currently, but she just does, I mean, she does incredible work. So at one time, I guess what, August, we had 13 of us,
That's awesome.
with 5 being part-time.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing that too.
Yeah.
Going a little bit more high level, and the next
Yeah.
3 questions are really getting into this referral stuff. So like, you know, what services do you do? What referrals do you typically accept and things like that? So first question, and we're going to move some of these questions kind of up on the podcast. So if people want to listen to them for
Yeah.
referrals, they'll kind of get an understanding of
Sure.
what you guys do. So what services do you currently provide?
So we currently are a full service creative communications agency. So we do, when it comes to design, we do anywhere from branding, rebrands, website design. We do full on campaigns. When you mentioned, which I'm so glad that you had mentioned us as being award winning, because we're kind of getting used to being like humbleizing ourselves. We're just humble, and we don't want to like come across as like egomaniacs. But we, you know, our creative department is just so high level. We end up winning like a TV campaign of the year for the Rockies, which is like our local Boise Ad Federation. So we do like big video productions, big photo shoots, and all the things. And we ended up winning 3 Rockies our first year in business, which is kind of unheard of because, you know, you're a new agency, you know, like just getting that together. So our creative team does just about I mean, they do all of it, you know, video campaigns, branding, rebrands, website design. And then we have public relations. So Kaylee is like the master of like grassroots. Like if you have, because I think people they have a kind of a negative undertone when it comes to PR. They think it's just media coverage, and it's not. I mean, it's like it's polarizing campaigns to grab attention for your business, and then obviously that free advertising, free media comes along if your message is right. So Kaylee really focuses on local and national PR for our clients. It's probably one of our biggest drivers currently right now for clients. She's probably the busiest, doing the most work. And so we have PR, we have social media management. So not only do we do social media management for clients full service, we also provide mentorships, help with strategy, all those things. And then we do influencer marketing as well, which I think not a lot of people are doing right now. So we'll manage all the influencers. We have all the connections with the influencers to connect with businesses, and we take care of all that stuff on the back end, helping them out with the campaign creation, approving ads and all those things. And then of course we have SEO and paid ads. And then we do email, newsletters, web content, website development, all those things. So, and then I also do traditional media buying as well.
By the way, you're totally allowed to say award winning like everywhere. I think.
Well, it's funny because I'm like, wait, oh my gosh, we just added that to our bio. I think it was on social media. So I'm not sure exactly if it's everywhere, but yeah, no, we are award winning technically. Yeah.
I just think there's a difference between like being humble and I mean, like it's good business to say you're award winning, you know? So like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, it is. No, I'm very proud of us. I'm so proud of us. And you know, it's absolutely necessary. Obviously, whenever we have clients looking for an agency that they want to work with, we want to look legit. Like, hey, here we are. We got best new business of the year. Like, I mean, we're really proud of that. We got the Empowering Women Award, you know, which is fantastic. I just was voted Woman of the Year 2 years in a row for Idaho Business Review. So I just, you know, like this is 2 years in a row. I got it last year and this year. So I'm really proud of that because we work.
Keep going.
I'll say we work really hard, you know, like we work really hard, but just to walk in and be like, hey, this is what we got. Like, you know what I mean? But when it comes to sales and clients, heck yeah, like this is what we got, baby. Look at it. It's in the client facing conference room. So
we'll make sure it's the first words on our podcast title.
Yeah, award winning. Yeah, please. Doing us a favor.
How can you guys work with other marketing agencies, or what services can you partner with other agencies? So in other words, what do agencies tend to reach out to you for?
PR, I would say, would be the biggest one that people reach out to us, and social media. Influencer marketing, another one. We also, Kaylee loves events. So we've definitely, depending on the client and depending on the scope, because PR and events kind of go hand in hand depending on what you're looking at. So Kaylee also does events. So we definitely get referrals that way too. We'll put on business launch parties and anniversaries of the businesses and things like that, or like a wellness conference. I'm just thinking of some of the things that we've done recently. And she'll take that on and plan that. So most of the time, whenever we have people reaching out, other agencies, I guess that's kind of what they reach out to us for.
And then to swap that question around, what services do you tend to partner with the most? So what services, I guess, are like closely aligned to yours that you might not have an internal staff for, but maybe you get that project and need some help?
Yeah. Yeah. So web development would be one of them. So even though we do web design, we actually don't have a developer in-house. But we have one web developer that we work with, and he actually worked with us when we worked at the supplement company together. He's our go-to guy. I feel like he's full-time on staff because he doesn't have websites for us, but he is a contractor. So he does our web, our development. And then even though we do the creative direction and we scope out the storyboards and we do all the creative, we do outsource the actual videographers to get the filming, even though we're on set with them. And again, the same situation. It's the guy that we worked with at our former company as a team. So, and they've been our go-to guys from day one. So I feel like the gang's all together all the time. We just did a shoot last week and, together all day, every day, and so again, I feel like they are on the payroll, even though they're not, because we do work together quite a bit.
That's really nice.
We don't have a bunch that we just call like, hey, can you help us out? What's your quote? We have our go-to people every single time.
No, I really appreciate that answer, because again, you've kind of get this understanding of what we're trying to do with our guests in this referral network. So,
yeah, for sure.
I'm really glad kind of how you answered that. And as we come up to the end of the episode, I just want to give you an opportunity to mention how people can find you and anything else you'd like to end with. So our website, tuutiagency.com. That's TUU, T as in Tom, agency.com. And then of course we are on social media, all platforms. I think including TikTok. Is it bad that I don't have the TikTok app? I don't have TikTok. I don't have TikTok or Snapchat. I think you're talking to two non-TikTokers.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah, but we're on all those things. I don't know if we're on Snapchat. Deja, are we on Snapchat? No, we're not on Snapchat. I don't even know why we would be. I don't understand it. I don't understand the tool at all. But so we are on TikTok. So if you just look up Tuuti Agency, TUUTI, you will find us because we made up the word actually. We didn't make up Tuuti, but we made up the spelling of it. So we'll pop right up. For sure. There's my long-winded answer.
No, that was great. And thank you so much for coming on the show. And for those of you who learned something new from this episode, please consider giving us a like or a follow so we can continue getting the highest quality of guests. And as always, thank you for listening. Shawnda, I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I wish we could have digressed the whole time. Can
we do a part 2? Let me know.
Yes. All right. I will say this. I normally don't say this, but I think we're starting another podcast that's more about the personal side of things and it's not marketing related or anything. Dude, and I just think you'd be one of the dream guests for that. So,
man, I'd love that. I love that. Let me know.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys. We'll see you. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to the Masters in Marketing Agency podcast. I hope you got a ton of value out of this episode. And before we go, I just want to thank our sponsors, DevNoodle. DevNoodle provides marketing agencies with the ability to offer their clients unlimited website design, build, and management services with fixed monthly plans. If website design, development, and maintenance is holding your agency back from growing, please reach out to us at devnoodle.com, where we make websites easy for you and easy for your clients. devnoodle.com.